Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our 2023 NFL Honors Prediction episode. Now, this is something that we've never done before, but something we did off camera last year, just kind of talking about who we thought was going to win. So we thought, since the Super Bowl isn't for another 2 weeks now, and the Pro Bowl's not really much to talk about anymore since it's the new Pro Bowl and it's a flag football
skills
game
challenge.
And the skills challenge, we thought we might as well do something fun and predict the NFL honors. Now, this will have no change on our head-to-head prediction game that we've had throughout the entire season. No points can be earned, lost, anything here. This is just fun, seeing if we can predict who's going to win all these awards at the honors. We'll be talking about 6 total awards: the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and then, of course, that big old number one of the season, NFL MVP. For each of them, I'll kind of flash up some of the people who can win the award, the finalists for each one, and then we will give which of those finalists we think should win it. So let's jump right into it, starting with the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Here are the finalists, and I think that Kenneth Walker should win it, while Callan thinks that 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy should win it.
Yeah, I think it should go to Purdy because he was the best rookie quarterback of the whole season. If you look at, even though Kenny Pickett started more games, he didn't have nearly as many stats as Purdy had in his short amount of time. And if you give Purdy a whole season in San Francisco, and even with the other quarterbacks getting hurt, I think that he performs better because he's got the better team around him. And I think his stats look a lot better even throughout the whole season, even better than they do now.
It is inarguable that Brock Purdy was the best rookie quarterback of this season. As Cal mentioned, Pickett did start more games, but Purdy just had the better team around him and the better stats, even in the games that he started compared to Pickett. I think that Kenneth Walker should win this Offensive Rookie of the Year. He was on that miracle Seahawks team that everyone expected to be a top 5 pick and ended up being a playoff team and actually kept blow for blow with the 49ers until halftime of that wild card game. And Kenneth Walker was a gigantic part of that Cinderella season for the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, if you look at that offensive line and offense in general, he should not have had any chance to do anything. They had 2 rookie offensive tackles, and Abraham Lucas at the right tackle and Charles Cross, a renowned pass blocker, but not much of a run game guy, at left tackle. And Walker was still able to put up the season that he did. And a lot of those plays, if you watch his highlights, it was all him. He should have been tackled in the backfield and turned it into a huge rush. Multiple 50-plus yard rushes, countless touchdowns compared to the other rookie running backs. I think you got to see Kenneth Walker win it. Next up, we're going to be talking about Defensive Rookie of the Year, and here are the finalists. The big battle, of course, here is it'll probably end up being one of the 2 elite-level rookie corners that came out of this draft. And in our predictions, I have Seattle rookie Tyreek Woolen, and Callan has Jets rookie Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Sauce, so he wins the Defensive Rookie of the Year here. And that's because he was the first rookie cornerback to be named first team All-Pro in NFL history. And I think that's just pretty damn neat because no rookie cornerback has ever been named to the All-Pro team until Sauce Gardner. And he continued his college dominance into the NFL. He did allow some touchdowns finally, but that's going to happen.
That's natural.
Yeah. But he still had a number of interceptions, I think he led the league in pass knockdowns, and that's just what you want your cornerback to do. So I think that because of his play and his All-Pro ownership, he's easily going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, to be honest, if you want me to be realistic, Sauce Gardner probably will win it. But I really do think that Tyreek Woolen should actually end up winning it just because it's a beautiful underdog story. I mean, with Robert Saleh at the helm, people were giving Sauce Gardner Defensive Rookie of the Year pretty much the millisecond he was picked at number 4 by the New York Jets. And Tyreek Woolen ends up falling to the 5th or 6th round just because no one really knew how he was going to play. He had an elite level combine. He is an athletic freak, to say the least. But a lot of the time, those athletic freaks don't really work out in the NFL. He was a converted wide receiver who had only been playing cornerback for 1 or 2 years, and he came from a smaller school in UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio. He just had so much stacked against him, and he went out and had one of the better seasons I've ever seen from a rookie corner. Of course, Sauce did as well. But they say that corner is one of the hardest transitions to make in football, going from a college level to an NFL level. And he already had to make a pretty damn hard transition going from a wide receiver to a corner in college. And now he had to go to a transition into playing corner in the NFL. It's just really impressive what Tariq Woolen was able to do. And as I started with, Sauce Gardner probably does win the award, but I think Woolen really should be considered for it, if not win it himself.
I'm pretty sure he led the league in interceptions.
He was close. He was
bunch near the
this
top,
season.
if he didn't lead the league. And I know Sauce only had a few interceptions. He was more about the pass knockdowns.
Yeah. Well, because the prior 2 seasons, this is a little off topic, but Xavier Howard in 2021, and then of course Trayvon Diggs in 2022, had double-digit interceptions. So they just so obviously led the league. But this season, it's been a lot more even. There wasn't those crazy numbers from any corners, so he easily could have led the league. Next up, we're going to jump up to Offensive Player of the Year, and Cal and I finally agreeing. Here are the finalists, and we both think that it's obvious. Justin Jefferson should win Offensive Player of the Year. This isn't just the Vikings fan and me talking. It's just so blatantly obvious. Cooper Kupp won it last year with the season he had, and Justin Jefferson had just as good, if not better, of a season. Was very much on pace to break the NFL wide receiver receiving yards record in this season. Kind of fell short at the end. The Vikings as a team fell short in the end pretty bad. Those last 3 weeks, even including the wild card, were rough weeks for the Vikings to say the least. But that, of course, also affected Justin Jefferson. But it should not take away from his season at all. Over 1,800 receiving yards. I want to say 7 touchdowns, but I'm not positive on that. Absolutely unstoppable. Caused 2 to 3 guys to cover him every single game. It's just blatantly obvious to me.
Yeah, and it was the same coaching staff that coached Cooper Kupp last year for his Offensive Player of the Year award. So it's just similar for Justin Jefferson to win the same award with that same kind of coaching staff. They really know how to use their number 1 wide receiver. And like you said, he damn near led the league. And I think, did he lead the league in the Triple Crown?
I don't think he triple crowned. I think someone had more touchdowns. He led in reception and receiving yards, but not touchdowns.
Which that's huge there. That's a lot of yards and a lot of catches. And he really performed as the best offensive player all year in my eyes. I mean, he started out with that monster game week 1 and never really relinquished that top spot for the receiving yards in the NFL.
No, he didn't. I mean, maybe 2 bad games in a row here and there, but he never had 3 bad games in a row, which is quite impressive to do in the NFL. Moving on to the other side of the ball and Defensive Player of the Year. Here are the finalists, and Cal and I again disagree. I have Nick Bosa, and he has Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons has been my guy from the very beginning. I said it in our predictions episode at the beginning of the season that he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm sticking to it. He had 13.5 sacks, over 30 quarterback hits, and then scored his first ever touchdown in the NFL against the Bears earlier this season. So he's got a defensive touchdown, a couple of fumble recoveries, a couple interceptions. He just does a little bit of everything well, and he really does the pass rushing well. And he was an off-the-ball linebacker sometimes. So to still have 13.5 sacks as an off-the-ball linebacker, that's just an amazing number.
Yeah, this one was really a toss-up in my eyes. I struggled to pick one in this one. I ended up falling on Nick Bosa just because I think that 49ers defense was better coached overall than that Dallas defense. Micah Parsons, of course, was a beast, but he had some really good guys around him, as well as Bosa. But if you look at the defensive line, I think it was just slightly better than the 49ers, solely pass rush-wise. The Cowboys, rather, very much struggled in the run game, and the Niners were a better overall unit on the defensive line. But if you look at pass rush, I think the Cowboys were better. And that's really what they look at for this is sacks. So Micah Parsons did have a lot of sacks, but Nick Bosa had just as many, and he was the main creator of pass rush on that 49ers defensive line.
That is true.
So if you want to just look at sole ownership of it and who did better as an individual, I think Bosa just barely ekes him out, but it's a toss-up. I could easily be wrong. It could easily fall either way on this one.
Both of them would earn it either way.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we have Coach of the Year. Here are the finalists. And to be honest, I wasn't going to talk about this one. We were just going to skip over this one. But before we even say who we think is going to win, it is a crying shame that Kevin O'Connell wasn't on this list of finalists. I mean, you can call me a homer, and to be honest, maybe I am kind of a homer. But you look at a first-year head coach who went in with more expectations and more pressure than any first-year head coach really ever should. The most that I've seen in the past while, at least. And he takes that pressure and he eats it for breakfast. He goes 13-4. He wins the NFC North. He takes the Vikings to a near wild card win. It's just insane how much pressure he had as a first-year head coach and how he absolutely destroyed the haters and performed just as good, if not better, than anyone thought he was going to or should. So
it is a little bit of a question that he's not at least a finalist.
I know. I mean, Dabble's on there and he's not. I'll get off my soapbox now. I'll stop. But like I said, I'll flash it back up since I went off on a little rant here. Here's the finalists, and for our predictions, I had Jacksonville Jaguars coach Doug Peterson, and Callan had aforementioned New York Giants coach Brian Daboll.
Yeah, Coach Dabbs has been kind of the leader in-house all season for this Coach of the Year, award. He was able to turn around Daniel Jones' quarterback career, which I think alone should give him an award right there. Because Daniel Jones was coming off some terrible seasons, and he had one of his best, if not the best season of his NFL career this season. So for him to be able to come in from Buffalo and bring not only that Buffalo offense, but bring it to New York and show that it could execute and work in New York, that's very surprising. And the fact that he got Saquon Barkley back on track, even without any receivers to throw to, Kenny Golladay finally got his first touchdown, so that should give him some bonus points.
It was late in the season, but it was a hell of a touchdown. So.
It was. So he finally showed up for him. But I think Coach Daboll earned this Coach of the Year just simply by leading Daniel Jones back to top form.
Yeah. I got Doug Peterson in this one, but again, just like Defensive Player of the Year, this is a total toss-up to me. Any of these guys on this list could win it. There's a bunch of really good coaches on this list. Not Kevin O'Connell for whatever reason, but a lot of really good coaches on this list. But I think Doug Peterson should win it just because you take this team who has been a first overall pick 2 years in a row. They still didn't have an overly stellar roster. But over the offseason, he picks up a lot of guys who made huge differences for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the free agency market. One of them being Christian Kirk, who they paid out the ass for and everyone roasted them for.
Yeah.
But then Christian Kirk actually ended up being an amazing slot receiver, probably one of the best slot receivers in the league, and a huge producer for that Jacksonville offense. He got Trevor Lawrence back up to shape. He got Trevor Lawrence into tip-top shape because Trevor Lawrence had really struggled the past 2 years working with two different head coaches, and Doug Peterson was finally the one who was able to get him working in the right condition. And then you take this team, this ragtag group of guys who no one really expected much from except for maybe another first overall pick, and you take them to the playoffs, you win your division, and you beat the wild card team, and you make it to the next round, and you almost beat the first seed team. Absolutely insane to see. I think Doug Peterson probably ends up winning Coach of the Year.
He definitely would deserve it if he did to turn around that Jaguars team after all the turmoil they had last year with Coach Meyer. That definitely warrants a Coach of the Year candidacy.
That was a lot of controversy with that team, definitely. So now, well, last but not least, certainly not least, we have the NFL MVP. Here are the finalists, and we end by agreeing again. We both have Jalen Hurts in this one.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts has just been the best quarterback on the best team all season long. And that's usually the award, the MVP award goes to. He had 35 total touchdowns, passing and running. I think he even had a receiving touchdown. So he does a little bit of everything. So I just think that he's kind of been the front runner for that award all season long. He's played the best of any quarterback all season long, even better, I think, than Mahomes. He didn't lead the league in any categories besides rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks, which is a pretty nice stat in itself. But I think that even without the passing stats, just the all-around playmaking ability that Hurts was able to use to bring the Eagles to be the top seed should warrant him the MVP award.
Yeah, I am honored that Justin Jefferson is on this list. I'd like to start by saying that. But I'll get out of my Homer shirt. I'll get out of my dreamland and be real. Justin Jefferson isn't going to win MVP. They're going to refuse to give MVP to a wide receiver. So I think it just leaves Jalen Hurts. Callan was spot on with everything he said. Hurts was just the best quarterback on the best team this year, a team that could easily win the Super Bowl in these coming 2 weeks, and a team that, in my opinion, probably will win the Super Bowl in the next 2 weeks. The only guy I could see maybe giving Hurts a run for his money would be Mahomes, but I just think Hurts deserves it more. It's really funny that Hurts and Mahomes are the two big MVP candidates, and then they're, of course, the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. So we'll see if they split, or maybe one of them get greedy and win MVP and the Super Bowl. But I think it really should just be Hurts here at MVP.
Yeah, one of them could go for the Triple Crown and also win the Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They could hit all three, yeah. So it's possible.
It'll be fun to see. But that was our predictions for NFL honors. Thank you all so much for watching, and make sure to tune back in next week. But until then, don't forget
to eat the W.